Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Moosa Cricket Stadium in Pearland, Texas for the second day's action in the inaugural Veterans Cricket USA T20 tournament. This match is between the Georgia Titans and the LA Knights. The LA Knights are the ones batting. My apologies. The Georgia Titans are the ones batting. You just saw a brilliant strike from Ravi Tyagarajan. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the... And ignore that. You just heard my voice twice. This is Brian Walters. Happy to be able to describe the action for you from Moosa. This, again, is the Georgia Titans against the LA Knights. Georgia Titans won the toss and choosing to bat under really cloudy skies, a stiff wind coming from the south here in Moosa. And the wind, as I mentioned, will be coming from the south. And so running into bowl right now is Rahul Bharia. He's bowling from the southern end. So if the ball is elevated down the ground from Ravi Tyagarajan, it will be into the wind. So bear in mind that from this end, the batters hit into the wind. From the opposite end, the batters will be hitting with the wind. So pay attention to that as we go through this match. So we're at 9 runs on the board, 2 deliveries into, make that 3 deliveries into this match. Your batters are Ravi Tyagarajan, 7 from 5 with 1-4. You just saw 4 from the first ball of the second over. And the non-striker is Ayaz Sheikh. Ayaz Sheikh, 2 from 3. First over was bowled by Mehul Dave. And this is a lovely strike, but the field is set exactly for that type of shot. That is Vinod Nair in the outfield, who at deep extra cover does enough to limit the damage there to 1 run. And so again, cloudy skies. It will be probably overcast and murky for the entire day here in Pearland. But thankfully, there is no rain in the forecast. That may change later in the weekend. There's a bit of rain forecast for Sunday. But this time of the year in the Gulf Coast area, you can expect to find that type of weather. This is played down to deep third. They'll run through for a couple. And so a relatively brisk start. They're going at the rate of exactly a run a ball, which is not uncommon in these circumstances. Of course, you're inside the power play. So 2 men outside the circle. I mentioned that was Vinod Nair at deep extra cover. There's a man down at deep third. Those are your 2 outside. Everyone else inside for the next 4 overs and 1 ball. Runs it off the outer edge. Man at short third does enough to keep it from going toward the boundary, but a productive over for the Georgia Titans. Remember, having chosen to bat first, they've gotten off to a decent start. 13 without loss after 2. Third over of the innings about to start. Bowled by Mehul Dave. Nope, sorry, there is a change in bowling. It's a new bowler. This bowler is going to be Janak Patel. My apologies, missed that change. So Janak Patel will take the ball from the northern end of the ground. That is the Pearland end here in Pearland, Texas. Janak Patel left arm around the wicket. Oh, looking to sweep there. That's going down the leg side, though, and it's going to be wide. Janak Patel, left arm, orthodox spinner. Tossed up, goes for the big hit, not able to get control of that. And this is an interesting piece of action because there was a run out that was attempted by the wicketkeeper Peter Jones, and technically not a stumping. Of course, you cannot effect a stumping in that way, but if the ball is loose and the keeper thinks that the batter is out of his ground, it's completely within his rights to try to effect a run out. Not successful though, so Mr. Ayashik lives to fight another day. So back to Janak Patel. He is a bowling all-rounder. Favorite cricketer is Kapil Dev. And played highest level of cricket, college, and played in the Masters tournament. Of course, you've seen him here on the West Coast for several years, a stalwart member of the USA cricket community. Tossed up, driven wide of extra cover. That is a man deep on the boundary to, again, limit the damage to 1 run. So with that single, 9 deliveries make that 15 deliveries into this match. And 15 runs are on the board. So maintaining around a run a ball as a scoring rate, but having chosen to bat first, you know that they're confident that they'll be able to get some runs. That's a single taken to short backward point. And bear in mind, as I mentioned, from this end, they'd be batting with the wind at their backs. So as you get later in the innings and they get sort of to the point where they can be more enterprising, then expect for that to be a factor. This one fired down the leg side wide. Signal wide there by umpire Abhishek Dwaraki. Tossed up. Again slanting down the leg side. See what the signal is here from umpire Dwaraki. Oh, no signal. So apparently it did come off the inside edge of the bat. And so 2 deliveries now remaining in over number 3. Ayashik, 6 from 8. Ravi Theagarajan, 9 from 8. Janak Patel, left arm around the wicket. Tossed up really slow. Oh my goodness. Goes for the big swipe. Misses, but it gets through wicketkeeper Peter Jones. Might see a bye signal here. There is the bye signal by umpire Doraki. So the 3rd extra of the innings. 2 wides as well as a bye. And there's evidence of the wind I mentioned. Mr. Doraki could almost not signal his bye before the wind blew the head, or the hat off of his head. That is a single bye that closes things out here in over number 3. 3 in the books. The score is 18 without loss. $18 without loss. Make that 19 without loss because the first delivery of over number 4, second one being bowled by Rahul Baria, is played into the offside. So Ayashik 7, Ravi Theagarajan 9. And so those 2 batters are off again to a decent start. Nothing sort of crazy yet, but they've both shown signs of being aggressive. That is punched into the deep. Vinod Nair's had a lot of work to do in that direction. And a couple more runs here. Looking to be a little bit more aggressive and looking to take the attack, it seems, to the LA Knights. And when you make the decision to bat first, you're essentially thinking, all right, I'm going to put a score on the board and stamp my authority on the game. And really just sort of threatening to show that exact type of mentality. Ravi Theagarajan now up to 11 from 10. little bit of a delay, just wanting to make sure everybody's in place. Ravi Thiagarajan batting, of course, with Ayaz Sheikh. Ayaz Sheikh is an all-rounder, top order batter, and he's also a leg spinner. When he in the field, you'll see him with the ball. Favorite cricketer, cricket idol, is Kevin Peterson. Interesting choice. And in terms of his favorite cricket or his best cricket accomplishments, this is going to be a dead ball. Ayaz Sheikh's favorite cricket accomplishments are the Ismaili World Cup 2008 and 2016, as well as the Masters World Cup 2023. If I'm not mistaken, that was in South Africa. In the air and landing short of mid-off. Oh, good work by mid-off there to get down and stop that one. That almost got by, but does well enough to keep it in. And as you'd expect from a good family man, Ayaz Sheikh, when he's not on the cricket field, he loves spending time with his family. So another single there. And this one stays a little bit low. I said yesterday that this is a brand new pitch. It was used yesterday for the first time. And in seeing how it played yesterday, about the only thing that was noticeable is that there one or two deliveries that kept low. Just now you saw first bit of evidence from that keeping low, but here's a skied hook. It's going to run down to deep fine leg. They'll get a couple. I'll tell you what, that was in the air for a while. That one definitely did not stay low. If anything, it bounced a little bit more than Ayaz Sheikh was expecting, taking the top edge all the way down to deep fine leg. So they get a couple more, but not the most convincing of strokes. 26 runs on the board now with one ball to come here in over number 4. And part of the idea behind batting first would, as I mentioned, stamp your authority on the game. But what you're going to also have to do is sort of pay attention to what the field is like, or how the overall conditions are. And that's going to be something to pay attention to as you go through the rest of this match. Good delivery, good length. Just drawing the batter forward, punching it into the offside. They'll get a single to close out over number 4. 4 overs in the books. The score is 27 without loss. Inaugural Veterans Cricket USA T20 tournament is brought to you by the grand sponsors Nitya Capital, Ultimate Vineyards, Kadim Jewelers, and Stelton Sports. Apparel sponsor is Omtex. Over number 5 about to start. So 2 overs remaining here in the power play. Your batters are Ravi Thiagarajan, 11 from 11. Ayaz Sheikh, 13 from 13. So both batters scoring exactly at the strike rate of 100. And a change in bowling now, as it is going to be looks like it's going to be Inderbir Singh. Take the ball from the Pearland end. And Inderbir Singh just getting the kinks out, warming up a little bit, as you'd expect with players who are all 40 years of age or older playing in this tournament. Not surprising that the bones don't move as easily as they used to. And in fact, Inderbeer Singh, one of a number of players who is not just above 40, but also above 50. And this is outside the line of off. Goes back to play on the back foot. Ayaz Sheikh missing out. Never a good idea to go back to those deliveries that are that full. And in addition to that, I'll say more after this delivery. This is a more positive looking stroke. And stroke past extra cover, runs away for 4. Good looking shot. Not the best of fielding efforts there by the fielder at extra cover, but don't know that he would have been able to get to it in any event. So race across the ground. So that is the second boundary that is struck for the day. And Ayaz Sheikh now moving up to 17 from 15 faced. I started saying that going back to a full ball is never a good idea. And then particularly from this end, saw evidence that the ball kept low a little bit from this end on a good length at every once in a while. So that's even more reason that you'd want to make sure that you stay on the front foot to any deliveries that are halfway full. If you go back to a full ball, that's hard enough to play. But going back to a full delivery that's keeping low, almost impossible to keep those out. Good comeback here, though. A couple of dot balls after the boundary. Last 2 remaining here now in over number 5. And Ayaz Sheikh, with his introduction into the attack, got struck for 4, but for the most part has gotten those deliveries where he wants them. Oh, huge swipe and a miss here. And maybe, just maybe, oh, my apologies, I said Ayaz Sheikh. I meant Inderbeer Singh brought into the attack. He's doing well. 4 dot balls as well as a boundary. And that struck well down the ground. Okay, maybe I jinxed him a little bit too much, because the first thing that hits after it hits the score, after it hits the bat, is the side screen 75 yards away. I mentioned the wind is stiff and it's coming in from the south. That was hit with the wind, so that carried even further than it ordinarily would have, and it probably would have had enough to go for 6 anyway. But this just emphasizes the extent to which the wind can help the conditions from this end. That is 10 coming from that over. 2 scoring strokes, a 4 and a 6. At the end of 5, the score is 37 without loss. Last over of the power play, Mehul Dave coming back into the attack, bowling his second over. His first over went for 5 runs. Starts out here in over number 6 with a dot ball. Once again, this is the inaugural Veterans Cricket USA T20 tournament from Pearland, Texas. Lofted in the air, that's over the top of cover. Should be a couple runs here. And in fact, they may look about 3 now, deciding to settle for 2. Not the strongest of throws coming from the outfield. In fact, an underhanded throw. My sense is that had the runners or the batters been aware of that underhanded throw coming from the outfield, they could easily have run a third. So it's probably something to file away in the memory banks. Short, similar stroke, going in the same direction. This one has a little bit more power, though. It might get to the boundary, and it does now. Good looking stroke for 4. So a little bit of width being offered by Mehul Dave, bowling around the wicket to the right-handers. So he's creating an exaggerated angle going across both right-handers. But if you start that angle outside the line of off stump and have that ball going away with nobody in the deep, essentially it becomes a free hit. I don't mean free hit in the sense that you can't be out, but it provides a very good scoring opportunity for the batter, particularly if he's strong on the offside. And Ravi Thiagarajan has shown evidence that he is strong on the offside. Now, making the switch going back over the wicket, I think this is a better angle. Played toward cover, and it is a single. So Mehul Davi realizing that he is presenting scoring opportunities on the offside that he probably wouldn't want to. And these next two deliveries, for me, are better from the standpoint of being able to target that off-stump line, but targeting the off-stump line from over the wicket, slanting it into the batter, takes away sort of the batter's ability to free his arms. So this is a better way of keeping him quiet. And a good closeout to the over. 3 singles, but certainly singles that all stay in the infield, not able to elevate him over the top. That is a good close to the over, 9 runs coming from the over. And at the end of the power play, the score is 46 without loss. Inderbir Singh about to start his second over, the first over out of the power play, so you can have as many as 5 outside of the circle. There is a deep point, there's a long on and long off, there's a deep mid-wicket, and a deep square leg. So those are your 5 outside. Inderbir Singh can't get down to stop that one, so concedes a single here. Inderbir Singh, when he's not watching cricket, likes the sport of soccer, not surprising. Soccer, the favorite or the number 1 sport in the world, and not many people know that cricket is actually number 2. Favorite cricketer, Michael Bevan. And in terms of his playing career, Inderbir Singh played U19 for Delhi back in India. Also played in Leeds in the United Kingdom and in Leicester and in London on a tour. So has been able to merge the activities of cricket and travel. Those of us who like cricket also like to sprinkle in a bit of travel around that activity. So not surprising that he's been able to do that. A couple of singles here. Make that 3 singles to start over number 7. Out of the power play now, so again you can be more defensive. Stroked into the extra cover area. 4 straight singles on the trot here to start over number 7, and that single brings up the 50. So good start. Might just be able to hear the applause coming from the pavilion. This pair has put on an opening partnership of 50 and scoring at the rate of 7.5 and over. So from that standpoint, doing very well. And of course, knowing that as the game gets constricted, only 80 more balls remaining, 79 more after that delivery, yet another single. After the game gets more constricted, and in fact, there is an overthrow, so they'll get a couple runs here. So the deeper you go into this innings with wickets in hand, then certainly the more enterprising you can be. So expect that run rate that is now 7.61, there is every chance that it can continue to go upward, even outside of the power play with a more defensive field. Very full, big drive and a miss. So a dot ball closes things out here in over number 6. Make that over number 7. At the end of 7, the score is 52 without loss. Umpire Myron James standing at the Massey Ranch Road end. The man in the blue shirt in your picture right now, as it's going to be Mehul Dave who continues. In fact, it's actually Rahul Bharia. My apologies. Rahul Bharia bowling now. He's bowled 2 overs so far. So this is now going to be his third. Single to start things here in over number 9. Make that over number 8. Rahul Bharia. Very full, clipped into the leg side. They might have just thought about a couple, but end up settling for 1. So Rahul Bharia is a bowling all-rounder. A recurring theme among the players from the LA Knights is that Kapil Dev shows up very often as a favorite cricketer. When he's not watching cricket or playing cricket, he's a volleyball fan. Ooh, a little bit evidence of that one staying low yet again. And his highest accomplishment is that he has been adjudged to be the best bowler in local leagues. I'm assuming local leagues includes cricket on the West Coast, and that some of that expertise in bowling is going to be called on here, because I think you're getting to the stage now where a lot of singles are being picked up, but no wickets have fallen. So you can almost expect that this pair is going to start being a little bit more expressive. 74 balls remaining in the innings. You're to the point now where with 10 wickets in hand, there is less and less risk that's going to be involved with taking chances. Now, having said that, from this end, he'd be hitting with the wind. So it would be, into the wind. So it would be up to Rahul Bharia to probably pitch something up to have them driving down the ground, because that would cause the wind to be a factor. This is full, but it's too straight, turned into the leg side. They'll get a single, as that was fumbled at short fan leg. So 5 straight singles here to start over number 8. And as I mentioned, from this angle or from this end, what you're wanting to do is bowl a fuller length to have the batters hit into the air, into the wind. That's the length, but again, the line is a little too wide. This is going to be squirted away over cover. So 4 ends things out here in over number 8. 9 runs coming from the over. The last 5 overs have yielded 43 runs. So the scoring rate is still ticking upwards. It's now up to 7.63. At the end of 8, the score is 61 without loss. Make that 63 without loss. Well, 63 without loss, and I missed it because that last shot of over number 8 off of the bat of Ravi Theagarajan that I thought went for 4 actually carried all the way for 6, so that's a tremendous strike. And that is with the wind, and it goes away for yet another boundary. So runs are now starting to come thick and fast, if you will. And with 10 wickets in hand, you can expect that this pair is going to continue pushing along in exactly the same vein. 67 runs is what the partnership is worth here for the first wicket. 67 runs and counting, I might add. And even though you're out of the power play, it is the fact that you're not really restricting runs from being scored. The scoring rate over 8 now, 8.2. Inderbir Singh, swipe and a miss. This gets through. Wicketkeeper Peter Jones, he'll get probably 2 runs here. Let's see what the signal is from umpire Abhishek Dawraki. No signal, so that obviously came off of the edge of the bat, maybe an inside edge that took it by wicketkeeper Peter Jones. So, a fast start to over number 9. 6 runs already from the first 2 balls. And Ayaz Sheikh looking to be as enterprising as you'd imagine. Stroked, straight down the ground. I'll tell you what, that's well fielded by Inderbir Singh. He'll probably feel that for a while, but he saved 3 runs there. That was struck very, very firmly. And good to see that good-natured interaction between him and the batter, because that was struck very fiercely. And he'll feel that for a while, but he certainly did enough to save 3 runs. That would have gone straight past him for 4. Next delivery, short, and it gets the treatment in the air, deep to mid-wicket. And good stop down there by the fielder on the boundary. So, thought off the bat looked like it might have carried all the way for a boundary, but he does well enough running around from mid-wicket, or from square leg rather, that fielder in the deep, making sure that that ball stays in bounds. But yet another single, looking to get more and more dangerous here, and stroke down the ground for another single. So 9 from the over so far with 1 to come. 11 came from over number 8. 6 came from over number 7. 9 came from over number 6. 10 came from over number 5. So runs, once again, a torrential rate is where they're being scored right now. And skied in the air, in the deep, catchable, and put down. It was in the air for a very long time. I believe that's Rahul Baria down at deep mid-wicket, who had enough time, got there, but just could not put the catch away, and ends up grassing what really should have been taken. So 10 runs coming from that over. Make that 11 runs coming from the over, because they actually ran 2 on that last one. And so, drop catches combined by the ignominy of having conceded another couple of runs. That is the end of over number 9. 7-4 without loss. This should be the last over before the water break. Janak Patel back into the attack. Struck firmly the first delivery into a deep extra cover. A little bit of football work out there in the deep. I think that is Atul Rai. And does well enough to keep it to 2 runs, but this train keeps on going. Partnership at the top of the order now worth some 76 runs. Goes back, plays in that same direction. This is going to be an easier attempt by Atul Rai. So just a single down to deep, mid or long off. Ayaz Sheikh up to 39 from 30. Make that 40 from 31. And this one is not exactly played elegantly, but can't get it away for a single. 3 deliveries into the 10th over. Ayashik 40 from 31. Ravi Thiagarajan plays this one off the back foot. He's now 35 from 26. And the scoring rate still above 8.07. Might not be too early to start thinking in terms of where you end up with as a final score here. This exact scoring rate projects to an overall score of 161. Big hit, deep extra cover but catchable, and grassed. Oh my God, I said deep extra cover, my apologies. I meant deep mid wicket. But there is a fielder down there that is Gagan Mekala, who had enough time but didn't exactly judge it to perfection. And unfortunately for him and for the LA Knights, grassing a pretty straightforward chance that probably should have been taken. Down the ground in the air and landing short. So a lot of chances being given here. Again, you're not surprised by the fact that they're playing with a lot more maybe reckless abandon, because you have 10 wickets in hand. Opening partnership is now worth 80. Make that 81. Oh, 80. My apologies. And so that is going to be the water break. Georgia Titans are off to a fast start, and the LA Knights have some work to do. Quick water break. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. Welcome back to the Moosa Cricket Stadium in Pearland, Texas. This matchup between the Georgia Titans and the LA Knights in the inaugural Veterans Cricket USA T20 tournament. We have a change in wicket keeping. Peter Jones kept for the first 10 overs, but it appears that it is now going to be Mehul Dave, after having bowled 2 overs, will be the one to take over behind the stumps. Indirbir Singh has bowled 3 overs, and he will be coming in to bowl his last. The batters are Ravi Thiagarajan, 36 from 27, and Ayaz Sheikh, 41 from 33. So their opening partnership, is worth 80 runs. Indirbir Singh is going to have to do something special here to pull them back. Wanted to get a run there, not going to be possible, but Indirbir Singh, 3 overs already, make that 3.1, and he's conceded 27 runs, going at 8.5 and over. Huge swipe and a miss, but it gets through the keeper. They'll get 1. In fact, they'll come back for 2. And it's going to be interesting to see. There's a signal from umpire Abhishek Baraki. So it appeared as though that one just got through the keeper. Brand new. Again, this is the second delivery that he has faced behind the stumps and not able to collect that one cleanly. So it just gets by him. A swipe and a miss, attempted stumping. And is he given? Yes, he's given. So eventually the first wicket partnership is broken. So it was an attempted stumping, again conceding a couple of byes the previous delivery, but he does remember his wicket keeping ability, Mehul Dave, and does well enough to be able to swipe the bails off, in fact destroying the entire set of stumps, with the batter actually overbalancing Ravi Thiagarajan and not able to keep that back foot inside the crease. First wicket goes down. Good piece of work behind the stumps by Mehul Dave, and that is the end of Ravi Thiagarajan. But he batted really well, 36 from 30 with 2 fours and a 6, and did well enough to get his team off to a flyer. So it will be interesting to see. 1 wicket down, but the batter coming to the crease now, Ajit Jayasinghe, is going to be, you would think, tasked with not necessarily taking risks, but really knowing that with only 8 overs, make that 9 overs, and 3 balls to come, that you really have the opportunity here to do something special. You don't have a lot of pressure. 9 wickets to come, only 58 balls left, so you have the ability, make that 57 balls left. You have the ability to sort of be much more expressive than you ordinarily would coming in at number 3. First delivery goes back, faces that delivery on or outside off stump. Let's go by into the gloves of Mehul Dave. So 2 balls remaining here in the day with the ball for Indirbir Singh. Did well to get the first wicket. Wants to get a couple more here. This is staying a little bit low. And does well to keep it out. Ajit Jayasinghe. Couple of deliveries faced now. Should be the last ball of over number 11, barring any extras. Tries to cut it, misses out. So a very good over, much better over than the last several. In fact, the last 36 overs, make that the last 5 overs have yielded 36 runs. But they will absolutely love having taken a wicket break in that opening stand, the LA Knights. At the end of 11, the score is 82 for 1. So the LA Knights have found success in the first, or for the first time in this match. Overall scoring rate has dipped just a little bit because of the good over that was just bowled by Inderbir Singh. He's done 4 overs, 1 for 27 are his figures. And it's going to be Janak Patel to continue. This is going to be his third over. Left arm around the wicket. Oh, stumping again. Definitely overbalancing and leaning forward, affecting the stumping. Did he stumble out of the crease? Think they're saying he kept his back foot in the crease. Ayaz Sheikh might consider himself lucky. That was again the left armer bowling around the wicket and getting what appears to have been just a bit of turn. And it went past the outside edge, but luckily for Ayaz Sheikh, he was able to keep that back foot grounded. Good start to the over. Off the back foot this time, missing out on the attempted force through the offside. So it appears as though they have found something that will work here. Nothing off the bat yet since the water break. Literally no runs off the bat. And that struck down the ground for a single. That is the first run off the bat. Peter Jones, who started with the gloves, is now patrolling in the deep at long off. But that is, again, the first run off the bat since the water break. And you've already lost a wicket. So Georgia Titans coming back to earth in many ways. But again, you only have another 51 balls remaining here. Floats this low full toss up there. Peter Jones again in the action to make sure that this just remains one run. You're down to now the last 50 deliveries of this innings. Ayaz Sheikh 42 from 36, 2 fours and a 6. Ajit Jayasinghe is now going to be tasked with helping things go in the direction where they'd gone for the first half of this innings. Squirted down to mid-wicket. They'll get a couple. And kudos to the LA Knights, though, because, again, they hung in there and little by little started getting things going their way. On balance, I think that the Georgia Titans still have the better of this match, but LA Knights are showing signs of pulling things back here. Another single down the ground. 5 runs coming from that over. Yet another over where the overall run rate has been reduced. It's now down to 7.25. Score after 12 is 87 for 1. New bowler into the attack for the LA Knights. Mahesh Ahir bowling from the Pearland end. Single down the ground to start over number 13. Slow through the air, tosses this one up. Defended back to the bowler himself for no run. So a long way to start. Apologies for that brief interruption, but 3 delivers into over number 13. 2 runs already from this first over being bowled by Mahesha here. But once again, the theme for the last few deliveries, in fact the last 3 overs including this one, is that the run rate is continuing to fall. So it's now down to 7.12. 7.12 runs an over projects from this point on to 142. Off the back foot, looking to change matters here, and that's a good strike down the ground. It goes all the way for 6. So Ayaz Sheikh, who's seen enough, goes right down the ground, and with that stroke, 6 down the ground, gets to his 50. That's a brilliant stroke. Once again, from this end, he's hitting with the wind, so the wind would have helped to carry that one straight. The placement was also good, right between long on and long off. So all good things here for Ayaz Sheikh as he gets that ball to go straight down the ground. The score goes into the 90s, and he himself gets to 50. And this is struck down the ground, catchable though, and taken. So immediately Mahesha here gets his revenge. The ball was struck firmly, straight down the ground. Really good batting by Ayaz Sheikh, but tried to go to the well maybe once too often and not getting that one as straight as he did the 6. And in fact, I suggest this may have well carried for 6 had it been a little bit straighter, but he ends up hitting straight down to long off, and long off takes a really good catch above his head, maybe a couple of yards or so inside the ropes at long off. So that's a great comeback by Mahesha here, and even hitting with the wind, Ayaz Sheikh not able to clear that fielder in the deep. Second wicket goes down. The game interestingly poised at this stage. It is 95 for 2. The new batter is Ketan Patel, left-hander. And Mahesha here, after having been introduced into the attack, has found immediate success. And now he wants more, because they're now going on to the attack to the right of your screen. That is Atul Rai at first slip. Very aggressive field being set to the new batter, and then bringing in fielders to some extent. You have 5 inside the circle. And here's the first ball, tossed up and defended back past the bowler. A single closes out over number 13. A successful one from the standpoint of the LA Knights. 9 runs coming from that over. The score after 13 is 96 for 2. $96 for 2, 13 overs up, and it is going to be Janak Patel to bowl his final over. 3 overs, none for 16, so brilliant bowling from Janak Patel. There's lefty to lefty, so he's bowling over the wicket to the left-hander. Starts with a dot. Quick single taken here, though. Didn't trickle away very far from the bat, but did enough to get a run. And so score now moving on to 97. So for those of you who are watching on YouTube, feel free to send a comment or two, preferably in English. I see the comments in there, but unfortunately, I'm not able to read anything that's not in English. And if you have anything to contribute as to maybe any of the specific players that might be interesting that you want everybody else to know, or maybe you wanted to ask a question about the Pearland area, maybe you wanted to ask a question about the Moosa Cricket Stadium, or anything along those lines, really just anything to help me not be the one person talking for the next 3 hours, because that tends to be a little bit draining sometimes. Anyway, good bowling here by Janak Patel. 2 balls remaining here in over number 14. Left arm around the wicket. Played into the offside. Wanted a quick single, not there. And a direct hit. That is good work. From that angle, he hit the middle stump. Unfortunately, it's going to cost him a run, has cost his team a run. That is a good piece of fielding in that extra cover area. I have to say that that was brilliant. But unfortunately, with the direct hit, it is still a live ball, so they were able to scramble through and get a run there. So now 1 ball remaining in over number 14. Now to the left-hander again, Ketan Patel. Here's the last ball of Janak Patel's spell, and it's played down the ground. In fact, it's fielded himself by Janak Patel, so it does well. A dot ball closes out over number 14. Only concedes 2 runs. What a brilliant over by Janak Patel. That is the end of over number 14, and the score is 98 for 2. Oh, my apologies. The over is still ongoing. That might have been an extra delivery. I want to see exactly what that ends up being. And then, in fact, that ball is squirted off the outside edge, runs all the way down to deep extra or deep point, and goes away for a boundary. So that is a 4. That really does indeed close out the over. It closes out the spell for Janak Patel. With that stroke, he gets up to 100, or the score gets up to 100. Ketan Patel with his first boundary struck, 6 from 5 balls faced. And again, the end of 14 sees the score at 102 for 2. Mahesh Shahir to continue. 1 over, bowled, took a wicket, conceded 9 runs. Worked away into the deep. A lot of work for Peter Jones. I don't think he'll get there. And it goes away to the boundary now. So starts off over number 15 with a boundary. That is Ajit Jayasinghe up now to 7 from 9 balls faced. So 2 relatively new batters at the crease. But you are in a scenario where you only have another 35 balls to face. So some of the caution with which you would ordinarily be batting can probably be put in the back drawer for a while, because you can sort of be a little bit more enterprising here. This is played to Atul Rai at short backward point. Single takes the score now to 107. So with 107, that scoring rate ticking just slightly upwards again, up to 7.47. That scoring rate projects to 149 if they keep that exact scoring rate. Now, in thinking of where you might end up, if you get to 8 runs and over, that gets you to 152. 9 and over gets you to 158. 10 and over gets you to 164. Don't know that 10 and over is possible, but you would think at least 9 and over is something that they'd be aiming at. And now Mahesh Shahir, one would think, bowling now in over number 15, bowling well. Off the outer edge, had there been a first slip, that might have carried to him relatively low. But it would have been interesting to see if that would have carried. But they'll get a single though. So about one of the most interesting things to look for the rest of the way would be whether or not the start that has been capitalized on can be carried on by this pair. Slip fielder in position again, a to awry, but that's worked away down the leg side. Single. Have a slip fielder in position. You sort of have to tease or test the outer edge of the bat, not anything going too straight. And so my sense is that with the left-hand, right-hand combination, that might contribute in some ways to the batter, or to the bowler rather, missing the line that he wants the ball. Tossed up, using his feet, striking this down to long off. Another single. That is the end of over number 15. Last 5 coming up, 9 coming from that over. The score is 1-1-1 for 2. Vinod Nair from right here in the Houston area, taking the ball for his first ball of the day. Vinod Nair is somebody who does a tremendous amount of work for youth cricket here in Houston, one of the pioneers of the Houston Youth Premier League, and just one of the more genuinely good-hearted gentlemen that you'll come across. I'm a little surprised to see him playing for the LA team, as I've always known him to be a Houstonian, when he's not watching cricket. His favorite activities involve sprinting, 100-meter dash. Played cricket at a college level. His favorite cricketer is Mohammad Azharuddin. Speaking of Mohammad Azharuddin, that shot that you just saw from Ketan Patel is probably one that Mohammad Azharuddin would have been proud of. 4 over extra cover. Vinod Nair is going to maybe want to keep this one closer to off stump than offering width. But interestingly now, there is a change in the field. There's a deep extra cover and there's a long off. So maybe he wants the batter to play in that direction. Good delivery, defended into the offside for a single. So Vinod Nair bowling over number 16. And so you'd expect from this stage that going into the back end of the innings, meaning that you only now have another 27 balls, 8 wickets in hand, Vinod Nair is going to have to be careful to keep this ball. Oh, look at this delivery, staying very, very low. And a wave and a miss by Ajith Jayasinghe. Probably might continue or consider himself lucky that that ball was not on the stumps, because no way he keeps that one from disturbing the stumps had it been straighter. Big drive down the ground. Peter Jones yet again almost has more work to do in the field than behind the stumps, Peter Jones. And the 7 from the over already with 1 to come into the last 25 balls of the innings here. Ajith Jayasinghe 11 from 14. And Ketan Patel 13 from 9 with 2 fours. Here's the last delivery of the over. Tries to advance down the track, ends up squirting it off the outside edge, gets at least a couple to deep point, and in fact it goes all the way to the boundary for 4. So a productive over that time for the Georgia Titans. And that scoring rate that we talked about that went down a little bit is now starting to tick up. 11 from the over. That is the last ball of over number 16. So last 4 coming up should be interesting. 16 up, 122 for 2. Mahesh Ahir, 2 overs bowled, 1 for 18, conceded 9 from each of his 2 overs. Bowling over number 17, so you would think that he would also bowl over number 19. Played off the back foot by Ajit Jayasinghe. Atul Rai at backward point does the cleanup work. Speaking of Atul Rai, you all know him. He's been around the scene for a really, really long time. Dr. Atul Rai. Tennis player when he's not watching cricket, and that's played down the ground. Should just be 1. Good clean pickup. Favorite cricketer, cricket idol is Vivian Richards. So the streak of cricketers, favorite cricketer being either Kapil Dev or Sunil Gavaskar has been broken by Atul Rai. Highest level of cricket played was in college. And he also does, as I mentioned, play a little bit of tennis when he's not either playing cricket or pulling teeth out of people's heads. And of course, one of the longtime administrators in the sport here in the U.S., former president of the USA Cricket Association, and the current administrator in many different ways for the game. Longtime servant of cricket here in the U.S., Atul Rai. In the meantime, the score is now ticked up to 125 for 2, 3 singles to start over number 17. And I think the priority now for the LA Knights is just not to give up any boundary balls. You can concede the singles, but the bowling has to be such that you don't have any scenario where the fielders or the batters are able to hit boundaries. This is 2 straight, going down the leg side. At least 2 runs here, and it remains to be seen if these will be wides. They run 2, and there is a signal from umpire Abhishek Dwaraki. So those are 3 wides. And if you're wondering why there are 3 wides, there's 2 that they ran, plus the fact that it was wide in the first place. That in and of itself costs you a run. So 3 runs to the total. Still 3 balls to come here in over number 17. Tries to go big, appeal for leg before. Don't think you're going to get that bowling over the wicket to a left-hander. From that angle, it's either pitching outside leg or it's missing off, because any turn would be away from the left-hander. So you'd sort of have to be around the wicket to be able to get an LBW decision there. Tossed up, big hit into the deep. 1 bounce to long on. So just 1 ball now remaining in over number 17. 129. Scoring rate 7.6. So that projection now back up to 153. And to the extent that you can accelerate from 153, or at least accelerate from 7.3 and over, it'll be interesting to see how far you can get. A dot ball closes out over number 17. 7 runs coming from it. At the end of 17, the score is 129 for 2. So new bowler making his introduction into the attack in over number 18 is Mihir Gandhi. Left-handed middle order bat and a right arm off spinner. Favorite cricketer, Sunil Gavaskar. Sunil Gavaskar inducted Mihir Gandhi several years ago into the NCCA Hall of Fame. And he mentions that he has become a friend of his. That's well struck. That's going to be 4 unless... No, that's great work in the deep. Good work sprinting across from deep extra cover and preventing a boundary. That is really good. It's really well done. And in fact, only conceding a single there. So off the bat, that looked like a 4 from the left-handed batter, Ketan Patel, but only ends up being a single. And he clean bowled him. So what a great 2 deliveries. Number 1, played through the offside, thought it was going to be 4, but good work in the outfield to limit it to a single. And then the next delivery, look at this, full and straight, right in the block hole. Mihir Gandhi gets this one right up there, pitching almost inside the popping crease. And it goes under the attempted drive. So good start to with the ball by Mihir Gandhi, conceding a single first ball, and then the very next ball knocking back the leg stump of Ajit Jayasinghe. So good start to his day with the ball again. Third wicket is down. The score is 130 for 3. And you're down now to the last 16 balls of the innings. Coming to the crease is going to be Hemant Patel. Hemant Patel to join Ketan Patel. Mihir Gandhi finding success with his first ball in his first over here in over number 18. Ketan Patel at the non-strikers end, 20 from 14. Hemant Patel now about to face his first delivery from Mihir Gandhi. And again, remember that from this end, he would be hitting into the wind. Maybe it wouldn't be looking to hit into the wind first ball, but as we get closer to the end of the innings in overs 18 and 20, that would be the case. Wanting to take off for a single, and they took off relatively late. Attempted to run out. Umpire Myron James says that he got there in time. Really did take off a little bit late, so a little bit maybe lethargic running between the wickets that time, but it is the case that Hemant Patel immediately gets off the mark. So watch what Ketan Patel is able to do here. You still have the left-hand, right-hand combination. The very first ball was crunched through extra cover. Mihir Gandhi now going around the wicket, tossed up, and this is in the air toward extra cover again, and it's going to land short of the 2 fielders out there. So all they get is a single. And in fact, yep, they'll get 1. Thought for a split second that they might push to try to get a second, because it feels like from here the man or the batter more likely to get quick runs would be Ketan Patel. He's been there, 21 from 15. Floats this one up there, stroked into the deep, should just be a single. So 4 runs from the over already. Good over under the circumstances for Mihir Gandhi. And the last ball coming up here in over number 18. 13 deliveries remaining in the innings. Score 133 for 3 means that you're needing from here to score 10 and over to get to 155, which feels like it's slightly out of reach. Here's the last ball of over 18. Down the leg side. You'll have to re-bowl that one. Myron James acknowledging the same. 9 extras from the inning so far. Couple of byes. In fact, I think 3 byes, and the rest, I believe, are wides. But here's the last ball again. Still is going to have to, in fact, he may not have to re-bowl that. I think that came off the outer or the under edge of the bat They'll get probably 2, come back for 3. No, change their minds and settle for 2. So that is the last ball. In fact, they're 2 leg byes. So the last delivery in over number 18 sees 7 runs coming from that over. At the end of 18, the score is 136 for 3. Last over to be bowled by Mahesh Ahir. 3 overs already, 1 for 25. Big hit down the ground. Should just be 1. Once again, bearing in mind from this end, you're hitting with the wind at your back. Another look at that strike again. Really well struck down the ground. Good looking strike. Only cost them 1 run though. So you're now at the back end of the innings. 11 balls remaining. And that is struck down the ground for 4. Brutal strike. And it is not surprising that you see from here Ketan Patel looking to get on his horse, so to speak. 141 runs on the board, but he wants at minimum to get over 150. I think that's pretty straightforward from here. Run a ball gets you in the neighborhood of exactly 150, 151, but you'll want more than a run a ball here. Still 7 wickets in hand, and you might back yourself to be enterprising to really sort of upset the apple cart. Oh, knocked him over. Slower through the air. So I might have just jinxed him. Much slower through the air, wanting to get the ball up into the air to have the wind help it. But look how slow this delivery is. Just slows it right down, tossed up, and then it ricochets off of his body onto the stumps. So that is a good piece of bowling. And once again, after a strike down the ground that results in a 4, the very next ball takes a wicket. So it's a good comeback ball by Mahesh Ahir. Bowling over number 19. I think that you'll find that, again, with the current situation being what it is, the new batter coming in is going to be relatively new. Sushil Bhatt is the new batter. So maybe it is now up to Hemant Patel to try to do whatever he can to attempt to generate some of that momentum that they need towards the back end of the innings. So, making his way to the middle is Sushil Bhatt. And it's Hemant Patel, who is still relatively new to the crease. Only faced 3 balls so far. But 9 delivers remaining in the innings. So from here, as I keep saying, you have the ability to, if not be reckless, at least be adventurous. Tossed up and drilled down the ground. 1 bounce to long on. Sushil Bhatt immediately getting off of the mark. And now Hemant Patel, who again has only been there for 3 deliveries, but with only 8 to go, you would think that this pair is really now going to start pushing the envelope to see exactly where they can end up. Slow through the air. Good looking strike down the ground, but it's right in the direction of long off. 7 from the over. 7 came from over number 18. 7 came from over number 17. So almost a hat trick of 7s here, depending on the results of this delivery. The last ball of over number 19 goes across. It's a thick under edge. That is Peter Jones at backward square leg. And the streak of 7 run overs is broken. 8 coming from that over. After 19, 144 for 4. Last over will be bowled by the man who took the ball to bowl over number 18, Mihir Gandhi, looking to bowl to Sushil Bhatt. Sushil Bhatt is 2 from 2. Here's Mihir Gandhi. Inside edge onto the pad. Underhand throw from Mihir Gandhi, fielding to his own bowling. Can't keep that run from scoring. So down to the last 5. 145 is the score. I would think at minimum 150 is where they'd be looking to get to. Big strike. Nobody out. Oh, yeah, there is somebody out there. My apologies. Deep mid wicket in position. And they run through and get a couple. So that takes you 2 runs closer to your 150 mark, the magical 150 mark. And now down to the last 4. Hemant Patel, 4 from 4. Wants to go big. That gets under the attempted collection by Mehul Dave. And that's just going to be a single. So now you're down to the last 3. Gandhi bowling really well, actually. 1.3 overs, 1 for 7. And for his part, doing his best to keep his team in it. Quicker and this whipped away square, but there's protection there. 1 bounce directly to that man at the square leg boundary. So 5 runs from the over so far, and this is going to be a really good way of starting this last over. Just 5 runs again coming from it. 1 more run, though, for that magical 150. The advantage of that is more psychological than anything else, but you always like to have that number. Big swipe and a miss. They'll get to the 150 with what I believe is going to be a bye. Watch umpire Myron James here. And there's a signal. So 150 is up, and it is with a bye. And so now you're going into the last over. Make that the last ball of the innings. 150 runs are on the board. And my apologies, I might have been off by a run. 149 is what the scoreboard says. So they still have the opportunity to score 150. Here's the last ball. Down the ground. And that should be the 150. Should come back for a second here. Have nothing to lose. And in fact, that's why you come back for the second, because they fumbled that last ball, and that results in the 2 runs that they needed to get to 150. So 151 for 4 is your final score. Looking at the scorecard, top scores at the top. Ravi Thiagarajan, 36 from 30. Ayaz Sheikh, 52 from 41, putting on a partnership of 82. After that, the batting struggled just a little. Ajit Jayasinghe, 14 from 19. Ketan Patel was bowled, 25 from 18. Hemant Patel and Sushil Bhatt at the back end with 8 and 7 runs respectively. For the bowlers, for me, the best of all the bowlers probably was Mahesh here. A little bit expensive, 8.3 runs and over, but took 2 wickets for 33 runs. And the rest of the bowlers were essentially there or thereabouts. But a good piece of work by the Georgia Titans to get to a score of 150. And then the LA Knights will feel buoyed by the fact that they took a few wickets and slowed things down in terms of the scoring rate. So about 10 more minutes and we'll come back for the chase to see whether or not the LA Knights can overhaul a target of 152. For now, signing off for the moment from the Moosa Cricket Stadium. Welcome back to Moosa Cricket Stadium. The veterans cricket cricket tournament. LA Knights batting. David, who's on strike. James, one striker. A little bit of width. I saw that time. And the boundary innings. Ball earlier when they batted, when they bowled rather. Open the bowling. Challenge from open straight to length. First over 1-2. So from here, we need to score at the rate 7.59. Struck firmly. Going to be 4 more unless extra cover can get across in time. A lot of work to do to try to get there. The fielder at deep extra cover. Pattern so far is not 4. Certainly enjoy the fact that we got 2 boundaries off the first over so far. It's a long way to go, but we saw it in the first innings when we were dragging the bat. We chose to bat after having won the toss. We put together a really nice open partnership between the 2 runs. You can see we're going to continue that here. We'll try to duplicate that here. Delivery comes close to the boundary. We go all the way. Went all the way towards the goal, dive in the lead. Expensive over this start of JW Vaquil. 1 ball single, 12 runs already on the board. Struck straight down the ground. This is going to test the long off and not get there. So really expensive. 16 runs coming from the first over. Elegant stroke down the ground. Middle David after 1 over had 12 runs against his name. It's only 16 runs. Second over about to start. The LA Knights looking to overhaul a total of 152. Good productive first over. 16 runs from that first over. JW Vaquil giving up 12 runs off the bat and 4 byes. And so now the bowler coming from the northern end of the ground is going to be Uma Gadamidi. Brian Walters here, and happy to be joined in the commentary area for the first time by Mr. Gandhi. Mihir Gandhi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Oh wait, it's morning. It's still morning. I'm confused.
Yeah, actually California California time. I'm also saying good morning, good afternoon. Yeah, good to be here with you, and a very warm hello to all the listeners.
So, by virtue of the fact that you're now sitting in here next to me, does that mean that you're not batting up the order today?
That is correct. You guessed it right. You have experience. You know exactly what's going on there, and I hope I don't get to bat today.
I was about to say
We-
that truly embodies the spirit of confidence that your top order batters are going to do so well that you can be here in commentary the entire day. I like
there
that.
you go. There you go.
So tell us a little bit about your team. In fact, after this delivery, because Umar rather got a meaty bowling from again the northern end of the ground, the Pearland end, and he looks really from the first delivery conceded a single, but the idea now is to stop the onslaught. 17 runs already on the board, and you're looking to see how you can slow things down if you're Georgia. But of course, you're having a lineup that appears to be really going after the runs. You're into 8 deliveries into the innings so far and already have 23, or make that 21 runs on the board. So tell me about this batting lineup and what the chances are of them overhauling this total.
Okay, so obviously, kind of like LA Knights comprises of players from all over Southern California mainly. So it is kind of interesting because we have not played as a team together before. This is the first time we have come together.
Okay.
And this is the inaugural tournament for Veterans Cricket USA with a new format in which, to make it more interesting, we kind of like shuffle it up where we have players from 44 age group, 49 age group, and then 50 plus. So it's an interesting mix of it. Before I continue, I think that was a good shot there. The onslaught, like you said, is continuing, and I sure hope it does.
Sure.
So, yeah. So, yes, we have confidence in our batting lineup. Kind of like, I mean, we have some good players. Unfortunately, some of them could not make it at kind of like because of some other commitments and all that. Otherwise, we would have been a little more kind of like stronger in every department, I would say. But we are happy with what we have, and we'll make the most of it. We want to experience and enjoy the moment here with our friends from all over the country. There's 5 other teams that we are playing with. I won't say against.
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, we are all friends off the field. Kind of like we kind of like really bond well, and it's all about building the camaraderie from players all over. And we have kind of like in past tournaments played kind of like with each other again. So it's kind of like a nice reunion in that sense. So right now, Mehul, I'll just say a couple of things because he's from SCCA, Southern California Cricket Association, and I've known Mehul for over 20 years, I would say now. And he's one of our finest cricketers over there, a very fine all-rounder. He has played some high-level competitive cricket, and lately kind of like he has not been able to keep up too much with cricket, so I'm happy to see him back in the fold and playing the game that he plays so well and loves the game, kind of like. So he's definitely a very, very good kind of like a player on our team. And we know he is unbelievable. He feels extremely well, as you must have seen in the first innings when we were bowling. And he runs a cricket academy, so that's a wonderful thing that he's trying to train and coach kids and prepare them for the future, kind of like. So that's the pair out there in the middle. As we go along, we'll talk more about the others and all that stuff. But I will let you continue with the commentary a little bit.
Excellent. Oh, that is going to be a bye, but it very nearly could have been 5 penalty runs for those who are not aware of the rules. And watch umpire Doraki here. There's a signal bye. If that ball had hit the helmet that is just behind the keeper and it missed by less than a foot, had that hit the helmet, it would have gone for 5 penalty. It would have cost them 5 penalty runs. But as it is, they've only cost them 1 run. So 2 balls remaining here in over number 2. Played into the offside for no run.
This is off, right? What is on? Oh, that may be when I was looking. Oh, God.
And in fact, that does appear to be the end of the over. So that closes things out here at over number 2. 2 overs in the books. The score is 27 without loss. First ball of over number 3 is crushed through backward point. The ability of Mehul Dave. Evidence of it there. Hammering it away through backward point from Bumbo. So off to the races. In fact, 1 delivery into over number 3. Already have 31 runs on the board. Only needing to score from here at the rate of 6.79 and over. They are already scoring at the rate of 14.31 and over. So Mr. Gandhi. Maybe the only question to be asked is, in what over is this match going to be finished? So I want to ask you talked about the fact that yes, this is an over 40 tournament, but you have several players here who are not only over 40, but also over 50, and then happen to be talking to one who is even in a higher age bracket. So talk about the idea of putting that tournament together and having all of those players. I no longer play, but I know that when I was 50 years old, I am a shell of the cricketer that I was at 40. So there's a pretty big gap between 40-year-olds and 50 and 60-year-olds. Talk about the idea of putting players who are all in that category in the same team.
Question, Van, and the reason at this age now we still have the spirit of playing, and the competitiveness is not the same as what it was when we were 25-30 year olds, and we cannot compete with that technically. So we wanted to kind of like mix it up where we still have people over 40 kind of like who are capable of playing and want to play, be a part of it. And this way we are kind of like covering a wider range, because the way we have it is each squad can have 2 players in the 40 to 44 age group, 3 players from the 45 to 49 age group, but on the field only 1 of the 40-44 can be at any given time, and only 2 from the 45 to 49. The rest have to be 50 plus. So we want to
Beat all of them.
Okay, sure. Let me slow down a little bit. So between 40 and 44, only 2 players can be on the squad of 14, out of which only 1 player can be on the field at any given time. So if 1 player, 40 to 44, correct. That is the criteria. And then from 45 to 49, 3 players can be in the squad, but only 2 can be on the field at any given time. The rest have to be 50 plus. And some like me, 60 plus.
Okay, so 45 to 49. 3 on the squad and 2 on the field.
That is the idea. So that way we are kind of like covering a wider range and kind of like giving a little bit more competitive edge, because obviously the 40 years old can kind of like be a lot more effective from the boundary line and covering the field or throwing and everything. And we have, like I said, friends from all different age groups from all parts of the country. So we tried to mix it up and make it more interesting. That was the idea.
Very interesting. Okay, so the 4th over about to be bowled. This is exactly who is that bowler. It appears as though it's going to be. Is that Uma again? Okay, good. So Uma about to bowl his 2nd over. Bowled over number 2, and now bowling over number 4. And he has some work to do here to pull things back. Dot ball to start things, and then 2 consecutive dot balls. So that's a good start from Uma. So you mentioned that all of you in the team all play together. Sorry, all play in the Southern California area.
Correct.
But this is the first time that you're all playing together.
Correct.
How difficult is it for you to mesh your games together? And how much do you know about each of the players?
Yeah, so again, that's a good question. Obviously, kind of like in theory, we seem to know kind of like what each one's strength is, but we have to try it out on the field and kind of like, see the chemistry and see the strengths and weaknesses and juggle things around. So it is definitely kind of like a challenge in that sense, but it's interesting and fun also, because kind of like obviously you have to kind of like be more alert about what's going on the field and how the players can be used more effectively. And again, from the 14 only 11 can bat. Obviously, the other 3 can field and bowl.
Sure.
So we have to kind of like rotate it around where it's fair to everybody while being competitive. So it's challenging but interesting and fun.
Absolutely. So, yes, a 40 to 44-year-old who's sprinting around in the field, you'll probably have that man fielding in deep extra cover or long on and long off.
Exactly right. Exactly.
Guys, first slip to first slip.
That's one benefit of being old, right? but having said that, I generally kind of like don't field in the slips which I used to when I was young. Actually, now I try to cover in the point or mid off region kind of a thing. That is kind of like my area of kind of a thing. But I mean, we all try to cover for each other, and yeah, definitely we try to use our better fielders in the deep end on the boundary line, basically. Yes.
By the way, that is the end of over number 4. That over only cost 2 runs. So that's a great over by Uma Ganamidi. 36 without loss after 4. 2 overs remaining inside the power play, and another 116 needed for victory. So yes, you're not looking to represent the U.S. in the World Cup. At least not in the let's call it the regulation cricket. But there are also big opportunities there. Talk about the different opportunities that exist for players who
So, as you know, obviously this is a T20 format that we have adopted for this league at this point. It is a franchise-based model. It is something a little bit different that we are trying to do. There is obviously a lot of cricket going on, which is playing the one-day game, 40 and 45 overs and so on. And there's the World Cup that is going on, and we can talk a little bit about the World Cup experience that I had a couple of years back later on. But right now, to address your question, it is at this point we have just started. We would like it to spread more across the country, become more popular, get recognized, sanctioned by the bodies that matter, and at that point we will look forward to participating in tournaments internationally as well, to play better cricket in different parts of the world with different players from different parts, and have that experience where we get to travel, play on good pitches around the world, and make new friends as well. So that is the goal. Right now we are just taking one baby step at a time. We started with 6 teams. Possibly next tournament we'll try to make it up to 8 teams. That way it's more balanced, and we have 4 teams in each group or something along those lines. We haven't thought about it, but yeah, definitely it is exciting because there is a lot of interest that has already generated in this tournament, and some people have approached us to find out how we can add more teams, which is very exciting. But obviously we will be taking the applications, discussing it as a group, and then making a call on which 2 teams will be taken in our fold for the next tournament. We'll also plan some international tours, more for social fun rather than competitive cricket, really. Recreational cricket. Good question. We are not sure at this point, but we will try to have one more tournament before the end of the year. But again, don't hold me to it, because we are still just taking this tournament, and at the end obviously we will sit around and get the feedback from the players, from other individuals who have been a part of this tournament, and see what we can do to improve it. Obviously there's room for improvement at any given time, and we will try to keep the players involved, so that it's not just a once a year event. It is more often that we have that. Opportunities are given to more players, and we get to enjoy the game a lot more.
6 runs coming from that over. 5 off the bats. Good over bowled. 6 impact over number 5 complete. 5 scores for Last over of the power play to be bowled by Umar rather. Thick inside edge from the first delivery running down to deep final leg. The younger players would probably have run 2 there, possibly 3.
Yeah, that is the difference we see. Yes, yes, yes.
That is indeed the difference. Now, yes, you were talking about the opportunities, and you mentioned when you went on tour. I think you said the World Cup a couple of years ago,
Yes.
right? Talk about that.
Okay, so for the over 60 team, we participated in the first over 60 World Cup tournament held in Australia. This was in September 2022, and it was very exciting and interesting time for all of us who had the opportunity to go there. And by God's grace and with the blessings of well-wishers, we had a good team, and I got to lead the team. Janak and myself, we were kind of like the captain, vice captain. He was the captain, but he got delayed over here for some strange reasons. I will not get into that right now, but
Okay.
but unfortunately he could not be there, so I had to kind of like, being the vice captain, take over the lead and lead the side for 5 games before he arrived there. It was a once in a lifetime experience, and is something that I will cherish all my life. When we were young and playing in college and all that stuff, I happened to be in the squad where Ravi Shastri was the captain.
Fantastic.
And obviously kind of like we wanted to play more competitive cricket, but studies took edge or a priority, and cricket was not kind of like something that our parents would also kind of like allow us to kind of like focus on. So at this age, nobody expected that we will still be playing the game.
Yep.
And then having the opportunity to lead the side was just like, icing on the cake at that point. This is, in some words, I would say a real kind of like a reprieve or a second innings of life, where we have rekindled our passion and kind of like brought that thing back, where we are motivated to stay fit, lead a healthy lifestyle, have some desire to kind of like do well on the field, so keep pushing ourselves. So it was kind of like a wonderful experience that we had in Australia, and it's kind of like catching on really well. There's over 40, over 50, over 60 World Cups, and in fact now they just announced a over 70 World Cup that is going to be happening. So imagine, so imagine what is going on here, how the longevity and the fitness and everything comes into the picture, where kind of like people don't want to give up. They want to just continue kind of like until they can, and it is so heartening to see that.
So over 70 World Cup, this is an outside edge. This will reach the boundaries. So that is a shot that will bring up the 50. 10 runs coming from that over. That was the last ball of over number 6, the end of the power play. The LA Knights are ahead of the game in a number of different ways. First of all, they have outpaced the Georgia Titans, who at the end of their power play had 46 runs on the board. The LA Knights looking to overhaul a total of 152, are exactly 100 runs short of that target, 52 without loss. So you said over 70 World Cup.
Yes, that is what has been announced. I believe it's going to be played sometime in June, and obviously the number of teams are going to be less because not a whole lot of countries have over 70 players still active and wanting to play.
Sure.
But countries like England, Australia, India, they will be participating. So it is definitely kind of like something that people over 70 can look forward to and something to work at. And as the 60s age group also ages, obviously they will want to kind of like look forward to playing. Maybe I'm hoping that we'll start something 65 plus, because I'll tell you, in my opinion, once you cross 60, each year is not just 1 year added to your life in terms of the fitness and the physical agility and abilities and all that stuff. It's a geometric progression, in my opinion, kind of like. So it's like not just you have turned from 60 to 61 in physical fitness and everything. It's a lot more than that you have aged in that 1 year actually. So 65 plus would be a good age group, rather than waiting till 70 to play at that point. That you're competing with some people at 65 who are in your same age thing, because someone who's 60 and someone who's 65, 66, there's a big difference in that.
First of all, I would 100% agree with that. Secondly, if you had to bet, you have to bet number of threes that were run in that entire tournament would be over or under 2?
I would say right at 2. and that is only if the ball does not cross the boundary line. You have hit it hard, it does not go, and the fielder is still chasing it. Then you can run the 3 or take a stroll in the park. Not to take anything away from anyone. That itself is a big accomplishment in my opinion.
I remember, I'm a younger man than you are, but even when I was probably, we're talking 10 years ago, I wanted to run 4 runs, and I was no good the rest of the innings. I literally had to
save the energy.
let me adjust all of this, take the pants off, take the gloves off, and hope that I got my breath back by the time I put it all back on.
Yes, absolutely. That breather is so critical, and kind of like you feel kind of like that you just want to get out of that field and kind of get a sip of water or just lie down on bed and just relax a little bit. But running for
Apologies for that additional sound that you just got in your ear. But yes, the physical aspect of it obviously makes a big difference. I completely agree with you. The step up from 60 to 61, probably like a step up from 30 to
it is a big jump. Yeah, I would say kind of like 1 year is equivalent to maybe almost 3 years of physical aging, so to say.
Yep.
So it is definitely a challenge at that point. But that's why I'm hoping that 65 plus will come into existence. If not, maybe we will introduce a new aspect of it and just bring the 65 in, 55 in to make it more appealing and interesting to another age bracket, so to say. Yeah. So
I would agree with that.
So,
no,
but this is so much fun, kind of like to be able to play, visit different places, meet new friends. It is so lovely, kind of like, I mean, I'm so blessed in that sense that we got this opportunity to lead the second innings nicely, where we are spending time with new friends, new places that we are visiting, and continuing to play the game that we love so much. So, and that is one of the reasons we started talking about veterans cricket about a year back or so. I'm happy to see it come to fruition. It's a lot of hard work that has been put in by so many people who are kind of like involved in this tournament. Obviously, the team owners are kind of like are hands-on and wanting to make sure that we give the best experience that we can. And as I mentioned earlier, there's always room for improvement. So we will look to kind of like get feedback and improve things where we can. But it's, I think, a very good start. Yesterday, kind of like we had the first day, and as far as I know right now, we haven't had any hiccups or any controversies or complaints or anything. So that's a good thing. I don't want to kind of like say it too early, because there's still 3 more days to go. So
Are you expecting maybe Peter Jones to do something crazy?
He is one athletic person, I tell you, for kind of like his age to be able to be doing the things that Peter does in cricket, in field hockey, traveling all over. He is so fit. At 66, if half of the people, including myself,
Wait,
are...
did you just say 66?
Did I get it right? Yes, 66, Peter.
So wait a minute. Did I just see a 66-year-old guy keep for 10 overs, then field it long off for 10 more overs, and you're saying he plays field hockey also, and he's padded up to go in next?
I don't know about next, but yes. but he kept the wickets for 20 overs yesterday continuously. Today 10 overs and then 10 overs in the field. and he can go for 24 overs. I know him. So he is one fit person. And like I said, when I turn 66, I hope I'm as fit as he is and able to do the things that he can do on the field. By God's grace, kind of like I'm still able to kind of like feel well, cover the field and everything. But I sure hope that at 66 that continues. Because like we just said, 63 to 66 will be a big jump. It will be a big progression at that point.
It's a
So
pretty big step up. So
yes.
the new bowler coming from the Pearland end is going to be Ravi Thiagarajan. So, in fact, if you look at where you are right now, that's a wide, by the way. As far as this game is concerned, whatever happens, happens. But a couple of comments from somebody who you will know very well. Parakananta is highlighting the fact that 4 players from the US are representing Team India in the over 70 World Cup.
That is correct. That is so awesome that when we heard about the World Cup for over 70, Indian team was looking for adding some players, and we were able to kind of like manage to kind of like get 4 of our players to add to the squad. And that's a testament to the level of fitness and level of desire to play for 70-year-olds also. So we are very happy and proud of them that they are still continuing to play and play at that level where they are representing the country India in the World Cup. So it's amazing, kind of like very proud of them. And we have always kind of like obvious the fitness is the main thing, and they are fit to be able to play. That's why they are able to go. So that is so true.
And by the way, so we don't just have 2 commentators, we have 3. Because Parakananta is essentially joined in as the 3rd commentator. He says, Peter has played international hockey, a great sportsman, and an even greater person. Well, I met him earlier this morning. I don't know that he's a great person. I don't know that just yet. But I can certainly speak to the fact that based on what I've seen already just in this game, tremendous athleticism. And this is before I knew he was 66 years old. My goodness. That's 10 years older than me, Peter. I don't know how I feel about that exactly. But the aspect of this that I think is so interesting, that's a good strike. That's probably 6 down the ground. Yeah, that's with the wind, and it goes all the way for 6. So what I've seen so far, yes, it certainly means that you don't run very many 2s and 3s, or you don't convert 2s to 3s very easily at this age. But the fact that you all can play a multi-game, multi-day tournament speaks to a level of athleticism that most 50 and 60 and even more year olds do not have. And I know for a fact that I'm only talking about me. I'm sitting here in this commentary booth because I don't want to be out there. And frankly, I can't be out there because I'm nowhere near as fit as I was, 10, 15 years ago. So the ability to be able to have that type of effort and that type of passion and contribute as much as you can on the field of play is something that I think has to be highlighted.
You're absolutely right. And just on a side note, I'll say that if you're not on the field, Brian, you're here and you are one of the best. So we are happy to have you here in the commentary box. So thank you for kind of like taking the time and kind of like being with us and commentating on our games here. Veterans Cricket USA appreciates that a lot. And looking forward to kind of like having many more sessions where we can share experiences, anecdotes, and talk about kind of like plans and what else can be done to kind of like, make it bigger, better, nicer, wider spread in every which way. And the more the merrier, so to say, that more opportunities are there, more leagues are in place, different formats are in place. We have the 45 overs, we have the now 20 overs that we have started. Who knows, somewhere down the line we'll probably add the T10 in there also. So just
I'll consider it if you drop it to a T3. that I'll consider.
That is still a little ways away. By the time you enter the field, it's time to come out. Because
have a super over league. A super over league.
Hey,
Have that.
I like that idea.
Super Bowl. There you go. But
that is interesting. Yeah.
one of the few people, in fact, there's probably fewer than 3 people in this entire tournament who knew me when I was a player. Kuldeep Patel is one of those people.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Kuldeep and I played. Kuldeep knew me when I was coming in off the long run. Let's just say that was a long time ago.
Okay.
And he contacted me and said, "Hey, we're having this tournament." And
Wonderful.
I said yes. Before he even asked the question, I said yes.
Yes.
I'm there.
Nice. That I love that. I love to hear that. So.
And so, to me, it is important, there is more than enough commentators who are doing minor league, who are doing major league, who are doing big time tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I do those also. But to highlight youth and to highlight older players, and to highlight women, those are my 3
Okay,
passions.
awesome. That is
And
perfect.
If I get a call for any one of those 3, if I can arrange things in my schedule that I can arrange to be there, I'm there. Because to me, that is so important, and those are the 3 groups that I think who would need highlighting the most.
You hit the nail on the head. That is so heartening to hear that the 3 groups that you named are definitely very, very close to our hearts as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we also try to do whatever we can to promote that. So that's really good to hear that. And again, once again, thank you for taking the time and without batting an eyelid, just agreeing to doing it. We very much appreciate that. So yes.
I will tell you, first of all, the ability to work for myself means that if I have to call in and ask for time off, I just ask my wife.
that permission has to come first before the boss can approve it.
Then that's all I get.
The boss at home has to approve it before the boss at work approves it, right?
Okay, so now I'm being lectured. Now, not only is he a member of the commentary team, he's now lecturing me. He says, Parakanantha, Brian, don't shortchange yourself. The human body and mind is much stronger than we give credit. The 60s played 8 40-over games in 11 days. Parak, I didn't like playing 40 overs when I was 30 years old. There is no way in the world I could consider. Anyway, I take your point. I will not. You say I'll surprise myself. Well, there'd be more than one person surprised if I were to play a game of that length at this stage. But let's just say it's a lot easier to participate when I'm sitting in a air-conditioned commentary booth and not having to worry about running around in the field.
So actually, I'll echo what Parak has just said, and that's very valid.
No.
in the sense,
like a recruiting tool.
no, because what he said, even in the over 60 World Cup when we went to Australia, because of inclement weather, they had to shuffle the schedule around, where we played 7 games in 9 days. Imagine that, 45 games. At that point, the body is so completely burnt out. It's so grueling. It is really it was a test of really can you push yourself to do it, and we were able to do it. So we are proud of it. But not everybody can do it, obviously, and we don't want to, and we don't want to push people to affect their health in any which way also.
Sure.
So different formats like this 20 over format and all that, I think will be very conducive, and that is one of the reasons we thought about this T20 format for this group.
So I live in Austin, about 200 miles from here, and last year they asked me. I don't used to umpire every weekend. I don't do that anymore, but for the big games, they asked me to umpire. And so I umpired the A Division and B Division finals that were both on the same day. The A Division game in the morning, B Division game in the afternoon. At the end of the umpiring both games, I looked at my watch. I had taken 22,000 steps in one day. I have literally never taken that many. I didn't take that many steps when I was playing. I guarantee it. It's literally 11 miles. I ran 11 miles. Let's just say it. I take your point about the body will find a way, etc., etc.
Yeah.
I beg to differ.
Yeah.
Because the way that I felt is you know what? I'm just gonna crawl into bed now and wake up next Wednesday.
Yeah, but think about it. You did manage that, right? I mean, yes, you wanted to crawl in the bed and everything,
Yes.
but the body did manage that.
Yes.
So that is where there's a will, there's a way. So that's interesting. Yeah. So talking about Austin, actually, my younger one is a medical doctor. He's in Austin, and my sister has been in Austin for 35 years. I've seen it grow over the years. So, what do you think about kind of like cricket in Austin? Is it going to kind of like get like Dallas and Houston have become big centers over here in Texas? Do you think Austin will also catch on?
What a great question. So, a couple of things. First of all, there is Central Texas Cricket League, which has been the standing league in Austin for a while. There's also the Hill Country Cricket Association. It used to be part of the CTCL, but they sort of broke away and started their own league, which is fine. There's more than enough people to play in both. But most recently, there has been a new league that has started there in sort of in the Leander area, so north of Austin. I have not yet been there. I've been invited to their opening weekend. I think it's May 5th, where there's actually 4 grounds in one facility in Leander. And I'm very excited to see what that can develop into, because Austin, yes, we don't have the same population base that Houston and Dallas have. But because of the tech industry, and because of by the way, let's acknowledge that strike down the ground by Mehul takes him to 50. He's now 50 from 32, 8 fours and a 6.
Very well played, Mehul. Very well deserved 50. Happy to see it. And what a way to reach 50 with a beautiful boundary.
Fantastic. Okay, so back to what I was saying. Because of the tech industry, there is a disproportionate part of the population that is from South Asia. That in and of itself creates opportunities for cricket. And I don't, by any means, listen, I have been for years part of the development committee for the USA Cricket Association, and I know that the way to get more people to play cricket is not to preach to the choir. So you don't always have to talk to people like you, me, and Peter, because there's a larger population that we need to introduce to the game also. But if you're looking to start from somewhere, it's good to start from a base that has a disproportionate proportion of or I should say a disproportionate percentage of people from South Asia. So Austin has that. So I'm very interested in seeing how that can grow for the next several years. That is a huge strike. That is, for me, the shot of the day. That is out of the stadium. And what a strike to get them to the halfway point of the chase. That is 92 without loss. And we should have a water break coming up here right now. That is a brilliant strike down the ground. And yes, that is the halfway stage. 92 without loss. Only another 60 runs to go for victory. The only other question is, are you going to get victory within 10 wickets? Or are you actually going to... First of all, the question is not, are you going to bat? Is Peter even going to need to bat today? There's a question.
Like I said earlier, Brian, I hope we don't have to let them come back with everything intact. I mean, both of them are batting beautifully, and I hope they continue to do that. So,
all right. So, quick water break. Let's go silent for a few minutes, and we'll be back for the rest of the chase. It might last 2-3 overs. Welcome back to the Moosa Cricket Stadium. This is the inaugural Veterans Cricket USA T20 tournament. Moosa in Pearland, Texas, about 25 miles south of downtown Houston. Brian Walters, and I am happy to be joined by a man who's completely padded up, and apparently after he finishes fielding for 10 overs, keeping for 10 overs, and batting for, 6-7 deliveries, there's a field hockey match somewhere that he's not playing in, and he's going to be getting into it. Mr. Jones, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Or morning. I keep saying good afternoon. Oh, it is afternoon now.
Good to be here with you.
Oh, okay. First of all, for those who were not able to see you play today, or for those who don't know a whole lot about you, tell everybody about yourself.
Okay. Grew up in England, learned to play my cricket there. Came over to the States out of university and stayed to do sort of my graduate degree and just really liked the States. For the first 4 or 5 years, I was over here. When I'd go back to England, I was going home. And then as you and I were talking earlier,
yes.
There's a transition where you realize you're going back to the place where you grew up. Now, because I came here before the internet, dating myself really there, it wasn't a question of just typing in cricket and finding it. And so I found field hockey first, and that had been my second sport in England. But I really dug in with that and once I became a citizen, represented the U.S. about 100+ times, went to a World Cup.
Fantastic.
Coached in a World Cup. And then my wife found me cricket.
Fantastic.
She was doing some math tutoring, talking to the mom of the kid, but found out they were both married to Englishmen, and the other guy ran a cricket team. And so my wife said, "Oh, I'm sure my husband would love to play." Right now, I think she wishes she'd never said that, because I probably play now another 25 or 30 games of cricket a year and still play the hockey. But she's always been very encouraging, which is great. So actually, it was the last year that I heard about the veterans and masters cricket in the U.S., went out to trials, was lucky enough to go play a tournament up in Canada. Ooh. I hope his leg's okay. That was a bit of a... If that was straight on the knee, yes. I'm surprised he's still walking.
Apparently without limping, which is saying a lot.
He's waiting for the camera to move away. So I had the chance in Canada to play Canada, England, and Australia. And to play against England was just amazing, given it was the country of my birth.
Very
so
interesting.
I've really enjoyed. There's so many folks doing a great job of growing and finding more and more opportunities for masters to play competitive cricket, and that's exciting.
That is fascinating. So I never in 100 years would have known until Mihir said it that you are in your middle 60s. First of all, you don't look physically like you're in the middle 60s, and then seeing a middle 60s-year-old guy keep for 10 overs and then field on the boundary for 10 overs and then be padded up to go into bat speaks to a level of fitness more than anything that I can imagine. So talk about your fitness routine. How does cricket fit into that? And then just kind of what we look for when we get to our age. I say our age, I'm 10 years younger than you. But what's important about that sort of your approach to life?
I think in my 20s, I just played games. I'd have a game of cricket, a game of hockey, a game of softball, fast pitch softball when I came to the U.S. I'd play table tennis for 2 hours. Whatever it was, I wanted to be playing. Probably about 30, I realized I needed to train. And it's just, over the years, it's become, I watch my diet. I'm generally doing cardio every day, 7 days a week.
Oh, wow.
3 mile to 5 mile run. Once or twice a week I'm doing sprints, because I'm a slow old white boy and I can't afford to get any slower, right? The weights, I stopped doing weights during COVID because I wasn't going to the gym, didn't feel comfortable there, but I've picked that back up again, and I think that really helps with some of the core strength and throwing, upper body, things like that. For me, that the investment, as long as I'm doing my work, I still get to play competitive field hockey and cricket. To get most of my games, I got to play with the 20 and 30-year-olds, whether it is cricket or field hockey. It's nice when I get a chance like this to be with 40, 50, 60-year-olds and play. But I want to play every weekend, and that means I got to play in the regular leagues.
Good.
So the way I look at it is the gift is from doing my training, I get to still compete and play the sports I love. And I hope, my wife saw this clip I was watching the other day where in field hockey, there may be a few years ahead in just the Masters setup.
Okay.
And so they've got from over 35 all the way to over 75, 35, 40, 45, 50, all the way up. And they just had the first over 80 international. England
Over
80. Field hockey. England versus Netherlands. And as the guy playing said, we've been playing the damn Dutch for 40 years. On the field, we try and beat them up. And afterwards, we have a few beers together. And he said, life is great.
Outstanding.
So my wife saw this and said, well, first off, I know you're going to want to play when you're 80. And she said, if you make it to 90, you'll also start that. So I can hope.
Oh my goodness. This is so absolutely inspiring. So, you live in LA?
No, actually, I live in Connecticut, about an hour from New York.
Connecticut.
But Janak and Mahir were kind enough to call up and ask me if I'd like to come out for this.
Sure.
And I thought, yeah, that sounds great. So it's a little bit of a juggle because there were some things I was meant to be doing for work yesterday and today, and they're getting done a little late afternoon and evening. But
what do you do for work?
I work with an investment firm, and I tend to do turnaround management. When a company's struggling, losing money, then I come in and try and work with the team and see what we can do to pick it up.
Very interesting. So we don't necessarily do the same thing, but some of our interaction professionally is there's some crossover there. I'm a business valuation guy.
Oh, sure. We use those services very often. We'll talk later.
So back to this game that we're covering, by the way. That is the 100. The 100 is up, no wickets down, another 52 runs needed for victory in the next 48 balls. If you had your Peter Jones win predictor, what would that percentage be for LA? What would the percentage be for Georgia?
I think you'd have to say right now it'd be about 85-15. This pair have done a super job launching. It's not impossible for this to be pulled back a couple of wickets.
Sure.
It could certainly change. But I think if we get about 2-3 more overs from them, it's going to be very close to wrapped up.
85-15 feels conservative.
I probably thought higher, but that would have sounded like I was bragging on my team. Plus, if I was wrong, then I'd really get told about it. So,
my sense is, and I've seen Janak play before. I've seen Mihir, I think, once, but the rest haven't really seen very much of. But just based on the way that the team has approached things and the little bit that this pair I've seen put together, Vinod I know very well. He's from here in Houston, and so he
great player.
I've actually never seen him play before. I've only interacted with him with his youth academy.
Yeah,
but yeah, if I'm a betting man, and I am absolutely not a betting man. Look at that strike.
That's a glorious.
I thought that would have gone for 6. Beautiful strike, but one team is going to win this. It really is going to come down to that.
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to be needed with the pads. But if they can bring this home, we've got plenty more games to.
No, the absolutely worst thing that you could do if you're padded up is to take the pads off. Because the second you take the pads off, 2 or 3 wickets fall. It's like, oh, dang it. Now I have to put my pads back on.
No, one of the teams I play in back home, there's one guy who, if our team's batting, he puts his pads on right away. Most of the time he's batting number 11. He can have those things on for 40 overs, but he says, I want to be ready.
Just in case. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Connecticut. So, do you know Kevin Hussein?
I know that name, but I'm struggling to put a face. But I'm also not very good on faces. So.
Ooh, the first wicket is down.
Oh.
I believe that Mr. Dave Yorked himself. Came down a couple of steps,
Yeah.
but that landed exactly where it would have landed in for a Yorker type delivery. So he made a good length ball into a Yorker. Yeah, completely Yorked himself.
Yeah.
And that takes out the off stump. So the first wicket is down. Does that change your win predictor at all?
We'll move it to 80-20.
80-20. All right.
But it does mean that I probably need to head back in case the coach, the captain, decides to use me.
You know what?
Lovely having a chat with you.
Such a pleasure. Such an absolute pleasure. So we will talk very, very soon, I'm sure, on and off the air. And I'll be here the entire weekend. We'll talk. So that was Peter Jones. Such a pleasure. And one of the best things about being involved in this sport is the ability to meet people throughout the course of life who probably you'd never have the chance to come across otherwise. So, for now, you have me and me only. Unfortunately, this is going to be the only voice you hear for the next several minutes. But from where you are right now, back to this game that we're seeing, it appears as though even with the fall of that wicket, that the LA Knights would seem to have this chase under control. Vinod Nair is still at the wicket. Vinod Nair has 26 from 34 against his name. And joining him at the wicket is going to be Pravin Ahir. Pravin Ahir taking a strike as we speak with 2 balls remaining in over number 13. Big picture, another 47 runs needed from the next 44 balls. So just needing to go slightly at the rate of over a run a ball, 6.41 to be exact. And with 9 wickets in hand, you would think that this should be pretty straightforward, a chase for the LA Knights. Ayaz Sheikh, ball in hand, finds success in his second over, 1 for 9. And here is his first ball. No run there. And a good comeback over. 5 runs from the over so far. 4 runs from the over before that. And then 4 runs from over number 11. So, very honestly, a bit of pressure has been applied. Not a whole lot, but certainly some pressure. And that's in the air and in the gap. And off the mark is Praveen. Oh, my apologies. Amit Patel. No, Praveen. My apologies. So that's a single, Praveen Ahir. Single to close things out here in over number 13. 6 coming from that over, plus a wicket at the end of 13. The score is 106 for 1. So we're into over number 14. This is going to be Hemant Bangwal bowling from the Pearland end, which is the northern end of the ground here in Pearland. Check drive. That's a good-looking shot into the offside. They should, in fact, Vinod Nair wanted a second run. We've spoken about how fit a man he is. But running quick runs takes 2, and Vinod finding out that time that it wasn't going to be the case. Next delivery, driven down the ground. So just ready to do it in ones at this stage, it appears. And looking at to where you are now, 45 runs needed. There's 107 runs on the board. 9 wickets in hand. The required rate is 6.7. You need another 45 in the next 40 balls. Slower delivery. Defended to mid-wicket for no run. 12 fours, 2 sixes have been struck in the innings so far. So 56% of the runs coming in fours and sixes. 8 extras, so not a whole lot there. Good control bowling for the most part. Hammered, and through the hands of that man at backward point, goes away for 4. It would have taken some catching to take that. It was struck firmly, very firmly, but it was there to be taken. Possibly 10 years or so ago, that catch would have been taken, but this time it burst through the hands at backward point and races away for a boundary. So, yes, you either have to take them, they stick or they don't sometimes, but you would think that that fielder backward point might have fancied himself in with a chance to take that one. 112 for 1 is your score with 1 ball remaining here in over number 14. Tries that cut shot again. Not as much bounce on this one. Goes through to the keeper. That is the end of over number 14. Eventful one. Almost had another wicket. The LA Knights almost lost Pravina here, but he lives to fight another day. End of 14, 112 for 1. Starting over number 15. 2 runs to deep mid-wicket. It is now the fact that Vinod has 29 runs against his name, 36 balls faced with 1 boundary. Pravina here, 6 from 7, also with 1 boundary. And the bowler is Ayaz Sheikh. Played off the back foot into the covers, no run there. Ayaz Sheikh, his figures so far, 2.1 overs, make that 2.2 overs. And 1 for 12 are his figures. Tossed up, pulled around the corner. That's a lot of work for deep square leg. In fact, he cannot do anything but retrieve the ball from the boundary. So welcome boundary. Second one struck by Vinod Nair. He's now into the 30s. 33 from 38 balls faced with 2 boundaries. And now you're at the stage where you're thinking about where the next several runs are going to come from. 4 runs to backward square means that you only need another 34 in the next 33 balls. So almost at a run a ball. Those numbers were always going to converge over the course of the innings, given the start that the opening pair had. And now Ayaz Sheikh does have some work to do to try to pull things back. This is a single to extra cover. And now this partnership just getting off the ground. The first wicket fell with the score at 104. Tossed up, struck down the ground. Just going to be a couple of runs there. In fact, first wicket fell at the score of 105. So the partnership now worth 150. The score is now 152. So the partnership now worth 47 runs. Oh, my apologies, looking at the wrong card. But score now 119, so the partnership now worth about 14 runs. Off the back foot, tries to force this one off the back foot. Didn't exactly get what he was looking for that time, but he lives to fight another day. That is the end of over number 15. 8 runs came from that over. Score is 120 for 1. Into the last 5 overs now. It's going to be Hemant Bangwal to continue. His 3rd over. 2 overs so far. None for 10. Starts off conceding a single here. And you now need just another 31 runs. Parakanantha thinks that one good over by the fielding team and we have a game. I don't necessarily disagree with that, Parak, but he also made that comment several overs ago. So I don't know if that's still your opinion. Couple of singles here. Partnership now worth 17 runs. And Vinod Nair up to 34. Make that 35 from 41. In the deep should be another single. So 3 singles start over number 16. And so you can keep picking these singles up. Don't necessarily have to do anything. In fact, there is no need whatsoever to do anything extravagant. And to the extent that you can just continue ticking the scoreboard over, it simply just calls for you to keep doing what you can do to keep getting runs. In this instance, this one is sprayed down the leg side. Wait for the indication from umpire Dwaraki to see, okay, those are 2 leg buys. So 2 more runs, and now 2 balls remaining here in over number 16. 27 runs away from victory are the LA Knights, and again 9 wickets in hand with 26 balls remaining. Would seem to be a pretty straightforward conclusion based on the way that this game is set up. Anything can happen, but the LA Knights certainly in front. Play it off the back foot, and yet another single. And the point was made earlier. It bears highlighting that these players are all somewhere between the ages of 40 and 60. And you heard when Mihir Gandhi talked about the specifics about who is on the field at any one point in time. That's struck to extra cover, no run. That's just going to be a dot to close things out here in over number 16. And maybe we'll talk about that when we come back. End of 16, another 26 needed from the next 24 balls. 126 for 1. From the Moosa Cricket Stadium in Pearland, Texas. This is the inaugural Veterans Cricket USA T20 tournament. This matchup featuring Georgia Titans and the LA Knights. The LA Knights 26 runs away from victory. And it is going to be the left-hand spin of Ketan Patel to continue. A single down the ground means that you're only needing from here another 25, another quarter of a century to win this game. Ketan Patel has shown himself to be a really good bowler. 2 overs, none for 12, so conceding exactly a run a ball. And in fact, that single down the ground, 2.1 overs, none for 13, so exactly maintaining that same economy rate. But unfortunately for the Georgia Titans, I think you're going to need wickets from here if you're going to win this game. Quicker delivery. Oh, goes right through him late on the drive. Was Pravina here? He's 9 from 11 with 1 boundary. Vinod Nair 37 from 44 with 2 boundaries. And Parakanantha with a really interesting question, and one I was wondering myself. I'll go to that question in just a minute. Struck in the air, over extra cover, couple of bounces, good work in the deep. Saved 2 runs for his side. That ball was struck with some power, but fielder at deep extra cover does enough to keep that ball inside the rope. So Parakanantha wants to know, as a fielding side, would you gamble, stop the singles, and challenge the batsmen to hit boundaries? Very frankly, if you concede singles the rest of the way, you'd likely lose this game. Yes, you're only needing from here 23 from 21, and there's, mathematically speaking, if every single ball the rest of the way is a single, you lose this game as a batting side. But they have 9 wickets in hand, and you can afford to be adventurous at any point in time. So essentially, I'd want to do exactly that. Force the issue, dare them to hit over the top, because if they hit over the top and they finish the game in over number 18 or over number 19, then that was probably always what was going to happen anyway. But if you pull the field in and induce a false stroke trying to hit over the top and you get a wicket, maybe 1 brings 2, and then you certainly have the opportunity to get more runs. This is played into the offside, run through for a single, but Parak, I think I agree with your suggestion there, because at this stage, 22 in 20 is essentially not much of a challenge in modern cricket, particularly not with 9 wickets in hand. Here is the next delivery. That stays a little low. Appeal and gone. So there's the wicket that you were looking for, Parak. It didn't exactly happen the way that you and I just drew it up, but it does trap Vinod Nair directly in front, and umpire Myron James raises the finger. So that is the 2nd wicket to fall, right on the stroke of over number 17 being finished. A good innings by Vinod Nair, 37 from 45 with 2 boundaries, but that dismissal does give just a hint of a sniff for the Georgia Titans to try to get back into this game. Pravina here is at the wicket, 12 from 14, and the new batter coming to the crease is going to be Inderbir Singh. Fall of wicket at score 130. So that partnership came together when the score was 105. So they put together a quarter of a century partnership. Certainly helped to steady the ship. There was a little bit of wobble when that first wicket fell, a minute wobble, if you will. 22 runs still needed from the next 19 balls. So yes, your money, if you're a betting person, is still with the batting side. But 2 relatively new batters at the crease, anything can happen. And that's why you don't just sort of concede at this stage. You sort of go through the process. So 1 ball remaining here from Ketan Patel's spell. Left armour around the wicket to the right-hander. So this is always going to be very interesting, how these situations present themselves. The left armour always causes a bit of an issue for a right-handed batter. played right back to the bowler himself, no run. So successful over. 4 runs come from that over. And at the end of that over in which a wicket fell, the score is 130 for 2. $130 for 2 is the score. 22 runs needed in the next 18 balls. Pravina here on strike, 12 from 14. Inderbir Singh has faced 1 delivery, did not score off of it. He's a non-striker. And the man with the ball in hand is Hemant Bangwal. 3 overs bowled, so this is his last. Full and elevated down the ground. What a strike! Oh, that is out of the stadium. The first time that that lands is on the grassy knoll, if you will, past long off. And that one strike might have just changed the complexion of this entire game. Because, again, there was just a touch of bother. The economy rate or the required rate was above 6. And a new batter at the crease. But that strike by Pravina here means that you do not have to worry about what is going to happen the rest of the way, because now you literally can hit singles and this game is over with in the next several balls. So 17 balls remaining but 16 runs needed. So single ball means that this match ends in the 20th over. Clipped away into the leg side. Should just be 1. That one strike makes a very big difference, because just the fact that you can do it in singles from here means that you feel no pressure whatsoever as a batting side. To the extent that when you are under pressure, a big shot that releases that pressure can sometimes make all the difference in a game like this. 15 needed from the next 16. Ooh, looks to play a cut shot. Gets an under edge. A lot of work for the keeper to do. Has about a 40-yard run. In fact, about a 50-yard run. And all the way back, that is Sushil Bhatt with the gloves on. Under edge means that they get 2 more runs, and that makes the equation even more in favor of the batting side. Just another 13 needed. Inderbir Singh is now on strike. Next delivery. Oh, he tried to end the game in 1 strike. Oh, my goodness. Well, you're ahead of the game. You certainly don't need to hit sixes. As I mentioned, singles easily could have done it from here. But he tries to hit the ball back into downtown Pearland. Loses his shape and then loses his middle stump. So that is wicket number 3. Inderbir Singh will not like the replay when he goes back and watches this, because essentially all that was needed was a level head to take what, in theory, is a pretty straightforward victory from here. But not able to do that, Inderbir Singh loses his middle stump. And that is wicket number 3. 13 runs needed still from the next 14 balls. The LA Knights are 139 for 3. So Dinesh Patel comes to the wicket, left-handed batter. And he is at the wicket because Indirbir Singh lost his wicket. And the second one, 2-2. Hemant Bangwal knocks over Dinesh Patel, and all of a sudden, with one ball remaining in his spell, Hemant Bangwal has the opportunity to get a hat trick. One delivery, looking to again swing for the fences. This is very much not necessary, and I don't know that that's something that has been expressed to these players, because all you're looking for now is another 13 runs. Now with 13 balls remaining, it was 13 from 15. Now 13 from 13, and again, pretty straightforward chase in theory. But they're making it look very difficult all of a sudden, the LA Knights. Now striding to the crease is a new batter. His number one goal is going to be to prevent the hat trick. And let's see if we can identify who this new batter is. It will also be interesting to see what field is set for this new batter. So Indirbir Singh clean bowled, Dinesh Patel clean bowled, and a new batter at the crease. He will be asked, first of all, to stave off a hat trick, and then you would think, in theory, be there while Pravina here does what he does to finish this game. Right-handed batter, and still no sense of exactly who this batter is, but in any event, this is the hat-trick ball. Right arm over the wicket. Here it is. Full and straight, driven back to the bowler. That is the end of a good spell by Hemant Bangwal. 4 overs, 2 for 23. The last two of the last 3 balls that he bowled are the 2 where wickets were taken. That is the end of the over. 2 overs remaining. The score is 139 for 4. 13 needed off 12. So Ketan Patel is going to bowl his last over, over number 19. And it is going to be, by the way, the new batter is Atul Rai. Atul Rai faced 1 ball, was able to prevent the hat trick. Struck in the air, stayed in the air for a length of time that would probably have made Pravina here a little bit nervous, but it lands safely in his, or from his perspective, out of reach at that fielder at extra cover. So pressure single. Atul Rai back on strike. Now 12 needed from the next 11 balls. Again, in theory, should not be very difficult. And it just simply calls for a level head. And I would certainly want to see the batting side be pressured here by a more aggressive field. This goes by the outside edge. That builds a little bit of pressure, because now 12 needed from 10 balls. And it's not certainly something that will be, in theory, very difficult. But you lose a couple wickets, that puts everybody in a shell. And all of a sudden, you need 11 off 5. So let's see exactly how much you're able to do here. The next delivery, played into the offside. Bowling a good line. In fact, back to the bowler himself. So a single and then 2 dots. And that does cause pressure to build, because now you're needing 12 from 9. Next delivery. Stays low. Somehow Atul Rai digs it out, and the bowler himself retrieves, but they concede a single. So that is now 11 from 8 needed. 11 from 8. And that does, however, bring Pravin Ahir back on strike. 20 from 17 with 2 fours, make that 1 4 and 1 6. And here's the next delivery. Wanted to go big, but ends up letting this one go by. This may be strategic by Pravin Ahir because that dot ball means that this is the last ball being bowled by Ketan Patel. Hemant Bangwal is done, so the question becomes who is going to bowl the last over. Maybe he's thinking we'll just take our chances in that last over. Here's the next delivery. In the air, clears backward point, running close to the boundary. A little bit of fancy footwork. 2 runs. Do they come back for a third? They do come back for a third, and that benefits the LA Knights in a number of different ways. So 3 runs. Oh, the signal there from umpire Myron James means that there is 1 short. So you only get 2 runs. So 4 runs from the over. But importantly, it is Pravin Ahir who is back on strike. So you don't get the benefit of 3 runs, but you do get the more settled batter on strike. So Pravin Ahir will be taking strike to start over number 20, and the question becomes who bowls that over. The 2 best bowlers that you've seen so far, the ones who have taken wickets in the last few overs, Ketan Patel is done, Hemant Bangwal is done, and so it does mean that there will be maybe one of either Jwalant Vakil, Uma Gadamidi, or Ravi Thiagarajan who will be coming into bowl. So let's see who this next bowler is going to be, and it's going to be the captain himself, JV Vakil. Jwalant Vakil is going to be tasked with keeping the LA Knights from getting 9 runs in the next 6 balls. The LA Knights have appeared to take a relatively straightforward chase, and they're making it look a lot more difficult than it needs to be. In particular, after that 6 was struck down the ground by Pravin Ahir, at that point you had more balls remaining than runs to get. And it really would have just meant tapping the ball around and getting singles and having it be a pretty straightforward result. But 2 batters came in, both looking to swing for the fences and ending up losing their wickets. And those 2 wickets put the game, or put the Knights firmly on the back foot. They've not really been able to extricate themselves since then. So that over I was talking about is over number 18. 9 runs came from that over, but 2 big wickets. And bearing in mind the first ball of that over was that 6 that was struck. So since that 6, 3 runs came from the rest of that over number 18, and then 4 came from over number 19. Could have, and it likely should have been 5, but one of those runs was short. So Jwalant Vakil will be bowling 2. In fact, it is Atul Rai who is on strike. No, apologies. That is, the scoreboard has it wrong. It's Pravin Ahir who is on strike. Here's the first delivery. Full toss in the air, catchable. And taken. Oh, how big is that? So Pravin Ahir, who is on strike, or was on strike, got a full toss, a juicy full toss, could have done more with it than what he did. In the air, straight to deep mid-wicket, and it is well judged and the catch taken on the boundary. And all of a sudden, a match that we said earlier was 85-15 in favor of the LA Knights now feels like it's 50-50. Because with that wicket, in the last 3 overs, you've lost 3 wickets and only scored 13 runs, and it does mean that you need 9 runs in the next 5 balls. So this certainly gets more and more difficult. Atul Rai is at the crease, and he's being joined by Amit Patel. And so now two brand new batters are at the crease, obviously with the change in the rules about a year or so ago from the ICC. In the past, you used to be able to have the non-striker go down, and if as long as the runners crossed before the catch was taken, it could be the non-striker who then became the one on strike. So the more settled batter would be the one on strike. That rule changed a few years ago, and now it has to be the new batter on strike. So he, the new batter, Amit Patel, is the one who has to remain on strike, and they still need 9 runs in the next 5 balls. Here's Jwalant Vakil. Full toss played into the offside. Good piece of fielding. It is collected by the fielder in the covers. 8 needed off 4. Game on, gentlemen, because as of now, 8 from 4 means that essentially you need 2 runs off of every ball. That does not make anything easier. Stroked 1 down the ground. They should just get 1, and that's all that they'll get. 7 from 3. I cannot believe that we've gotten to the stage where the LA Knights, who were on top of this chase the entire way, are just in the position where they may just lose this game. Amit Patel and Atul Rai. Next ball. Oh, there's going to be a run-out opportunity here. Nope, did not get run out, but all they get is 1. So now, my goodness, the equation changes that much more. From the last 2 balls, they need 6 runs. So one of these 2 has to be a boundary. Atul Rai on strike, 2 from 5. I'm sorry, Amit Patel on strike, 1 from 4. Misses. Ball stays low. The attempted drive misses out, and all of a sudden, you need a 6 off this last ball to win this game. The LA Knights have appeared to be taking defeat from the jaws of victory, and that makes it official. They will get 1 here. They may come back for 2. It will not matter. In fact, they don't even bother coming back for 2 because that is the end of the game. And it was, by all accounts, a pretty shocking result. A game that the LA Knights had fully under control for most of this game. They spit the bit and lose at the very last moment. It ends up that the Georgia Titans are the ones that take victory by the margin of 4 runs. So let's go through the full scorecard. Ravi Thiagarajan, 36. In fact, that's the first innings. In the second innings, Mehul Dinesh Kumar Dave batted really well. Top scored 64 from 42 with 9 fours and 2 sixes. Vinod Nair also batted well. 37 from 45 with 2 fours. Praveen Ahir, 22 from 20 with 1 4 and 1 6. But shocking, Indabir Singh, 2 from 3, was bowled by Hemant Bangwal. Dinesh Patel bowled first ball. Atul Rai and Amit Patel struggling to get the ball off the square when they needed to. And it ends up with 17 extras that the LA Knights, as I said earlier, essentially take defeat from the jaws of victory. A game that very easily should have been in the column of the LA Knights ends up being a loss for them. The Georgia Titans taking victory by 4 runs. So that concludes coverage from right here at the Moosa Cricket Stadium in Pearland, Texas. The first game that we covered today in the inaugural Veterans Cricket USA T20 tournament. Georgia Titans take victory by 4 runs. Join us at 2 p.m. local time, Central Standard Time, where we will have a second match. That second match that we're covering today will be the San Francisco Blasters against the Florida Hurricanes. In the meantime, taking a break from right here in the Moosa Cricket Stadium. See you in about an hour.